Hello everyone, back to you into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days for today's second video. That will take us around the 21st of May, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video, which will take us into the first week of June. So I'll get on with all of that for you very shortly. Just to say that the first video up today was having a look at the bank holiday weekend. So I've only just got one bank holiday out of the way. We've got another one looming into view. 2 weeks today we'll have spring bank holiday Monday, and we've done our second update for that bank holiday weekend. So have a look at that when you're done with this video. And tonight at GallusWeathers.com there's going to be a blog post with the ECM seasonal model. So that updated over the weekend. We'll have a look at the ECM seasonal model at GallusWeathers.com on the blog page tonight. Now, for anything else, I've got to say a big thank you and show you this sent through by Luke Cowling. So I did a collage of pictures at the start of Sunday Round yesterday, and I forgot to put this one in with the collage of pictures. So this was sent through by Luke Cowling on Facebook around a week ago. It's showing a double rainbow over Torquay. Absolutely fantastic capture, and really wonderful picture. So thank you so much to Luke Cowling for sending that through. It really is an amazing picture of that double rainbow. Amazing how it's arching sort of over Torquay. Really lovely capture. So if you would like to have your pictures featured within the videos, all you need to do is email them to us at gallusweathers@gmail.com, or share them with us on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and whatnot. And we're always very happy to feature your your pictures within the video. So a big thank you to Luke for sending that through. That's absolutely great. So, central in temperature, we'll look at that in a moment. Let's have a look at the latest observations from XC Weather, though, first of all. So, here we go, and it's looking pretty cool out there this afternoon. So, we've got 13 degrees, a lowly 13 degrees, 8 minutes past 12, flashing away down at Bournemouth. 13 degrees at Bournemouth, but otherwise, I mean, it's quite cool out there. Luton at just 9 degrees, for example. London Gatwick is at 10. London City Airport is at 11. Farnborough at just 10. I mean, these are our highest temperatures as well. Lydd is at 11 degrees. Watcham at 10, and over in South Wales, Milford Haven is at 11. These are our highest temperatures at the moment. Other places are even cooler than that. Church Lawford at just 10 degrees. Nottingham at 8 degrees. Bingley at just 5 degrees at 8 minutes past 12 on the 11th of May. Very cold air mass across the country at the moment. Warcop is at 5 degrees. And going north, Scotland, Strathallan is at just 10. Aviemore at 8. Altnahara is at 6 degrees. Kirkwell at 8. Belfast at 9. Lake Vyrnwy at 5, going down to southwest England. Cardingham is at 8. So it's a very chilly, very chilly day out there today. I suppose temperatures will go up by a couple more degrees through this afternoon, but I don't think we're going to get much better than around 14, maybe 15 degrees down on the south coast, and quite a few places are likely to stay under 10 degrees all day today, I think, which is very unusual for the 11th of May. So it's really cool out there. And, of course, we're in this northerly air mass, and the origins of the air is right from the Arctic and the North Pole. So that's the reason it's been very chilly out there today. It'll be cold tonight as well. Watch out for frost tonight. If you've got anything delicate planted out, you'll need to cover up tonight, because there is a very significant risk of a frost tonight as skies clear and winds fall rather lighter. Right, this is central in temperature, and it's provisional, of course, up to yesterday, 10th of May. So for the first 10 days of May, we're standing at 11.8. That is an anomaly of 1.5 degrees above average. 1.5 degrees above average, 11.8 provisional up to yesterday. This is going to tick down, though. This will come down quite a bit, I think, over the next few days. So by the time you get through to the middle of the month, it's likely to be back either to average or maybe even below average. I think we'll take quite a bit off this. We'll shave quite a bit off this over the next few days. So we'll keep a close eye on what happens with the CET, of course, in the coming days. These are the 500 millibar high anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS, which we're going to have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars is varying in the absolute high pressure, low pressure, being moved down by the jet stream. Red and orange extrapolates high pressure blue to low pressure. So you can see that with the ECM, we've got this area of above average height sitting over and also extending to the north of the country a week to 10 day time frame, which, as I say, takes us around 21st of May. Two troughs of low pressure on either side, a trough across eastern parts or northeast parts of Europe, and also in the middle of the Atlantic. Very much a trough ridge type pattern, doing something rather like that with the flow, with the jet stream. And so the ECM looks as though it should actually be rather dry and warm by the time we get through to the 10-day forecast period. So with this ridge building up from the south and the southwest, that should definitely keep us mostly dry. Definitely, and you will think that with the air sort of coming up around the ridge from the southwest to south, it would be getting significantly warmer as well. So after this cold shock that we're currently in, the ECM is seeing not only a recovery in temperature, but potentially going really quite warm. The GFS is very similar, but it's a bit more unsettled. So GFS has this area of above average heights again to over and to our south, but it's a weaker ridge compared to what the ECM is showing. It has more influence from low pressure in the Atlantic, that trough of low pressure that the ECM has, but it has it in the middle of the North Atlantic. With the GFS, that's actually extending in from off the Atlantic. So just a little bit more unsettled with the GFS in the week to 10 day time frame, but they are sort of inching towards something a little bit drier and warmer, I think, as we move into the 7 to 10 day time frame, particularly so with the ECM, of course. These are the upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Let's go to weeks for Leeds. Looking at Leeds today. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Leeds. Starting off cold at the moment. Look how far below average it is right now. So we're under -5 at 850 HPA. We very rarely got to -5 at 850 HPA at any point through the winter, never mind below -5 at 850 HPA. So it just goes to show you the air mass we've got at the moment, we didn't have as cold an air mass as this very often at all during the winter just gone. But there we are, we're significantly below average at the moment. We're going to stay below average as well for the next few days. As we run into the middle part of the month and beyond it, we just see a very, very slow and gradual sort of recovery in the temperature. It's not till we get to around the 18th, 19th of May that the upper air temperatures are finally reaching parity with the 30-year average. And then beyond that, actually seeing in a little bit of a warmer spell of weather setting up then as we get to around day 10. So that's like the 20th, 21st May, something like that. Then go just a little bit above average, and we generally stay on the warmer than average side then, or around average to slightly warmer than average through into like the last week of May. That's this period just here, a very long way out, of course. But a recovery in temperature slowly taking place over the next few days. It is a slow recovery. It's not until we get to like days 8, 9, 10 that we might be back to quite warm conditions. So our precipitation is concerned, really dry as well. So there's very little precipitation coming up in the next sort of 10 days. Maybe a few showers coming and going, but there's very little precipitation in the next 10 days. But last week of May possibly goes more unsettled. There are some rainfall spikes coming through then. But of course, as I keep saying, that's very extended range. It's unreliable both for the GFS operational run and also for its ensemble as well. So reliably, it looks dry in the reliable time frame. A lot of dry weather coming up. Starting cold, gradual recovery in temperature by around day 9 or 10, somewhere around the 20th, 21st of May. We may be into something rather warmer, or maybe back to something rather warmer by then, but it's not a quick process to warm things up after this cold shock. Temperature anomalies from the 11th through to the 19th of May are below average, not just for the UK, but virtually for the whole of Europe, except for Greece and Turkey. So it's a cold week coming up, particularly so for Scandinavia, where some areas, like Norway, for example, are between 8 and 10 degrees below average. And again, we didn't see that at all through the winter whatsoever. It was just solidly wall-to-wall red on these anomaly maps through the winter. We've got to May, and there we are. The blues have descended. So, yes, definitely below average for most parts of Europe in the weekend. For the UK and Ireland, we're kind of a couple of degrees below average, so we're not as dramatically cool as it is across some other northern parts of Europe, for example. Precipitation anomalies looking like this, so drier than average really for the UK and for Ireland as well, quite significantly so. Cold and dry then sums it up in the week ahead. This is how the GFS is looking for Thursday. GFS 6 o'clock run for Thursday. High pressure centre just to west of the country, extending the ridge into the UK, but on the cold side of the high pressure still. So we're bringing the wind around the top of the high from like a northwesterly to northerly type direction. So anytime we're on the eastern side of a ridge, we're going to be bringing wind down from the north. To get warm air from the south, we need to be on the western side of the ridge, really. So that looks dry but quite chilly as we go into the second half next week. Temperatures by day will slowly lift up, I think, through this week, but nights will remain cold right way through to the end of the week, actually, with ongoing ground frost at the very least, recent times, especially early on, quite significant air frost possibilities too. That's Friday, and again, lots of high pressure influences, so it's mostly dry, but it is quite chilly. And then into the weekend, we find the high pressure beginning to move. So the high pressure begins to shift in over the country. That should start to allow things to get warmer both day and night, probably. Although nights could still be quite chilly even then, but we'll probably lose the ground frost risk by the weekend. And by day, I would imagine temperatures are returning back closer to average, probably getting near normal by Sunday with daytime temperatures, which in the second half of May should be reaching like upper teens Celsius, really, especially down in the south. Into the early part of next week, the high pressure continues to dominate the weather, and very gradually over time it is inching its way eastwards. So now we're beginning to go onto the warm side of the ridge. This is the 19th of May, and we're just starting to allow warmer air to feed up from the south there. So that looks very, very pleasant indeed. Low pressure is pushed away to the far northwest, and temperatures are definitely staging quite a lift up there. So I think that gets us into the low 20 Celsius. There'll be plenty of sunshine if that comes off too, and so we're back then to proper sort of late spring, early summer type conditions. Moving up towards day 10, we keep the high pressure going, so that looks very pleasant. And again, we're feeding up the air from the south and southeast, so I think that could be quite warm really by the time you get through to day 10. Temperatures up to maybe low, possibly even mid-20s Celsius by 21st of May. So definite signs of a warming taking place there from the weekend through into the following week, through into next week, I suppose. Beyond that, moving up towards bank holiday weekend, then low pressure begins to head in from off the Atlantic, so it gradually starts to turn more unsettled. But it's not too bad, really. We keep quite a bit of high pressure just to our south. Low pressure is mainly out to the northwest. There's a lot of dry weather on offer with this 6 o'clock GFS run over the next couple of weeks. So if you're waiting for some rain, and I am actually for the garden, it does look as though we're going to have to keep waiting, really. There's very little sign of anything particularly wet coming up, certainly in the next week to 10 days. GM looks like that. So again, lots and lots of dry weather for Thursday. On the cool side of the ridge, though, so still quite chilly. Into the weekend, the GM gradually lowers the pressure from the northwest, actually. So the GM is a little bit more unsettled compared to the GFS. High pressure is more towards France there. In a week's time, with low pressure rolling in from the top. That's more unsettled for the north. I think for the south, that's probably mostly dry, and I would have thought reasonably warm too. Heading up towards day 10, the GM is then trying to move low pressure in from off the Atlantic. The GM always seems to be a little bit more unsettled than the other models, so I'm not sure how seriously we take that. But by the time we get through to day 10, we've got low pressure both to our south and to our west. That could be providing some quite wet weather. Will be quite warm though, as winds are coming in from a southerly direction. The ECM again looks like that, with high pressure just out to the west. Cool winds feeding in around the top of the high from the north to the northwest. Into the coming weekend, then the high pressure begins to change its position, starts to ridge in from like the southwest, so we're starting to move ourselves onto the warm side of the ridge. Still a lot of dry weather away from northwest Scotland, where there could be some rain, and temperatures lifting up through the weekend, very much in line with what the GFS is showing. Into next week, again, the high pressure continues to dominate the weather. It gradually is building over the top of the country. bringing us plenty of dry and fine conditions. That's how we're looking to get to daytime. We saw it on the 500 millibar high dynamic flow charts for Penn State University. High pressure is over the top of the country. It's a warm ridge by this point as well. The air is coming in from the south. There's the upper air temperature showing that the 10 Celsius isotherm is actually beginning to head up from northern parts of France. That gets temperatures up into the low 20s at least, probably actually with May sunshine in towards the mid 20s Celsius, I think. So there's a definite warming trend here in evidence from the weekend through to next week. But before then, we have got the cold shock to contend with. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Tibetio.com. We'll go through this very quick because I don't think there's going to be much precipitation in the next 10 days. There's a few wintry showers in the north today, of course, with these northerly winds and 1 or 2 rain showers running down the east coast. Tomorrow we may bring a band of rain and possibly even quite significant snow over the high ground into the far north of Scotland. So it could turn a bit wintry actually across Scotland tomorrow. That's for the far north and particularly so over high ground. Once that gets out of the way though, then the high pressure is just taking over. So we run through and sort of in 6 hourly periods, and it just stays pretty dry for most parts of the country. It gets us into the weekend. There's some rain coming into the north at the weekend. Down in the south it's mostly dry, and then we go back to dry conditions through the course of next week. Of course, next week it starts to turn increasingly warm as well. So warm and dry is the trend with the ECM and the GFS actually, I think, from the weekend through to next week. But before then, it is quite chilly. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for daytime from the Icelandic Met Office. Actually, there's only one option on the table. It's for the 21st of May, and 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles, all of them basically going for high pressure to be over the top of the UK and Ireland and northern parts of France. Jet stream is being moved northwards like that. So, yes, high pressure in control for daytime and warming up as well, and all members of the ECM ensembles are agreeing on that. In 2 weeks' time, still an anticyclonic signal. This gets us to the 26th of May. Still an anticyclonic signal with above average heights, again centred pretty much over the top of the country. So from an ECM perspective, it does look as though high pressure is in control more or less towards the latter stages of the month now. Very little rain to come. And after a cold start, gradually getting warmer as well. So the ECM is looking quite good if you like warm and dry weather. And then finally, CFSV2, so these are 500 millibar heights, so we're breaking down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from the 11th to the 17th of May. The coming week has high pressure centred over the top of the country. It's mostly dry. We're on the cold side of the ridge to start off with, so winds are in from the north. Yes, quite a cold start, and then a gradual recovery in temperature by the weekend. Week 2 shows this very nicely. This is the 18th to 24th of May. Still dominated by high pressure, but its position has changed slightly to sit over and slightly to our east, and that starts to draw the air up from the south, so that turns us a lot warmer as we go into week 2. It's still mainly dry, and it turns us potentially quite a lot warmer as well. Week 3 is again dominated by high pressure. It's 25th to 31st of May. This is a real high pressure fest today with the CFSB2. That ridge right in over top of the country, high and dry for the last week of May. Week 4 shows a little bit of a change. This is the 1st to the 7th of June. So it looks like then we start to take the ridge out to our west and move it up towards the Canadian side of Greenland. And there is hints of northern blocking through here as well. Now, what's going on in this white area, I'm not sure, but that could get filled in by a trough of low pressure. With the heights and the high pressure sort of out to the north and to the northwest. So this area could, where it's white, might in the end get filled in by a trough of low pressure, and obviously that will be a cooler and unsettled sort of first week to June. It looks a little bit strange. It's a very strange anomaly, and it's 4 weeks away, so I don't think it's worth worrying about. Temperature anomalies, look at this, temperature anomalies for week 1, 11th to the 17th of May, very significantly colder than average, not just for the UK, but through most parts of Europe. Where was that in the winter? Those blue colours there taking the temperature anomaly down to 3 3.5, possibly 4 degrees below average across many parts of Northern Europe. And you'll see that for the UK, we are included in that as well, 2 to 3 degrees below average with our temperature anomaly this week. It's also very cold, of course, over across Canada and North America as well. So both sides of the Atlantic have got winter knocking on the door at the moment, but it doesn't last for long. Look at this, it's week 2. It's all changed. 18th, 24th of May, the position of the ridge just shifts slightly, and that starts to draw up warmer air from the south again. So we go warmer than average again on both sides of the Atlantic. Interesting, East America is also going significantly warmer than average there for the 3rd week of May. Week 3 is the 25th to the 31st of May. That is significantly above average as well. And then week 4, which is the first week of June, it's the 1st to the 7th of June. Still hints at being a little bit warmer than average, but not as warm as weeks 2 and 3. So the temperature is gradually coming down there slightly. Precipitation anomalies finally from CFSV2, so week 1, 11th to 17th of May, that is quite significantly drier than average. Week 2 is also drier than average. Both weeks are dominated by high pressure. The difference is in the position of the ridge, starting off placing us on the cold side of the ridge this week, going on to the warm side of the ridge next week. Week 3 is the 25th to the 31st of May. That one is also drier than average. By week 4, which is the 1st to the 7th of June, we've gone closer to average. Probably lost a signal. But it does look a little bit wetter than average to our south. So down across Spain, it's a bit wetter than average. And some parts of the Mediterranean as well. It's rather a strange anomaly there that we see the week 4, the first week of June. I'm not sure what the CFS is picking up on there, but it might be picking up on something a little bit more unsettled. But for the rest of May, it looks like we are dominated by high pressure. And although right now, for the next few days, we will be on the cold side of the ridge and temperatures will be significantly below average, it does look as though we're eventually going to go onto the warm side of the ridge by the time we get through to the weekend and then on into next week. And that should start to lift the temperature. So recovering in temperature, slow recovering in temperature in the next few days, and then probably accelerating the temperature recovery through the weekend, and by next week we could actually be quite warm. Right, that's it for video number 2 today. So we'll be back later on the website at garethweathers.com this evening with a look at the ECMWF seasonal model. That's going to cover the summer and on into the start of the autumn as well. So it's going to be a really big update. 7 o'clock tonight on the website. Do have a look at the blog and you'll see what the ECM is forecasting for the next few months. Tomorrow we've got the ECMWF 30-day look out for the UK and for the rest of Europe as well. And we'll also have a week to 10-day video update. We did live stream yesterday, by the way. So we had a live stream between 5 and 6 o'clock. It went phenomenally well. There was a really big response to it. At one point, we reached 80 concurrent viewers. Easily the biggest live stream that we've done since we live streamed for Storm Kira back in February. So it was a phenomenal response. Thank you, everybody who got involved. If you would like to have a listen back to that, it's embedded onto the homepage at garethweathers.com. And if you have a listen to it on the YouTube channel, you'll also be able to follow the live chat. We had loads and loads of messages and people posting in the live chat. I couldn't get round to everybody's questions and messages. Unfortunately, it's just such a big response. But you can have a listen back anyway on the website and also on the YouTube channel. But if you want to follow the live chat, you can do that on the YouTube channel as well. And it was quite an entertaining hour, I think. Hope you all enjoyed it. Right, that's it for today's video. Then we're back tonight with the blog update on the website. So come back at 7 o'clock and you'll see what the ECMWF season model is forecasting for the next few months. That's all for now, though. Thanks for watching.